with a player of Quinn's caliber, I just put my best foot forward. I had to show Jimmy and Patrick and the Canucks that we were serious. I think Zeev is not only a special player but a special person. It was tough to just come to grips with, like, he's got to be part of the package. But when you realize it and you look at who you're getting, you have to do it.
Hey everyone, welcome to Inside the Game. I'm Deep Janda, and this week I'm joined by somebody who shook up the NHL and hockey world, Minnesota Wild GM Bill Guerin. Welcome to the show, Bill. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on. No problem at all.
Well, I mentioned it. You shook up the NHL world. Obviously, it wasn't just you. It was Jim Rutherford and the Canucks management as well. But you landed Quinn Hughes in a trade. And, first of all, I wanted to go back in time a little bit of when did you realize you had a shot at getting Quinn in that deal?
Well, honestly, it was Monday. The deal was done on Friday, but Monday, it was the first time that I had talked to Patrick and Jim, and that was really it. I didn't know how serious things had gotten and how quickly they were going to move. So after I made the initial call, or during the initial call, I realized how serious they were, and just made an offer and then had to wait.
So your mentality when you're making that offer, is that the Godfather offer? I'm going to hit him with the best offer right off the bat and make them say no?
You mean give them an offer you can't refuse?
Exactly.
I see by your book in the background there that you are a fan. So
You, you know what I like? Yeah, exactly.
yeah, absolutely. I just felt, with a player of Quinn's caliber, that you have to. I mean, it's just the way I am. It doesn't mean anybody else has to be like that. But I just put my best foot forward right away, and I had to show Jimmy and Patrick and the Canucks that we were serious, and wanted to pursue this seriously.
So an interesting dynamic here as well because you also work for Jim Rutherford. I would assume you learned a fair bit from him as well. He's a Hall of Fame executive. What was that experience like dealing with an individual that you've worked very closely with, you know very well?
Yeah, I worked closely with Jim. I worked for Jim, and I worked with Patrick in Pittsburgh, and so I know both of them very well. And we all know how each other operates, and especially like with Jim, the time that I spent with him in Pittsburgh, I got to know him very well, and he doesn't mess around, and he's not afraid to make a deal. I think that's the beauty of Jim Rutherford is, when he was the general manager, he was never afraid. He would do it. If it worked, great. If it didn't, then he would fix it. And I that's one thing I learned from him, and also try to make fair deals. And I think that's how you get things done. I think if you're sitting there trying to win every deal, it's going to be really hard to get one done.
Well, it's a rare deal where I think the people in Vancouver, they understand they lost a special player, but they've picked up some really good ones as well. Zeev Buium, who you know extremely well. I'm assuming that's not an easy player to let go either. But, in terms of this package and understanding that you had to come with a serious offer, a lot of folks are looking at Buium as the centerpiece in Vancouver side of the deal, gives them long-term assurity on the back end. Like, how difficult was it to essentially say, we know this kid's going to be good, but he has to be a part of the deal?
I think Zeev is not only a special player but a special person. I got to know him really well, and I got to know his family, and they're just special. It's a full package with this kid, and it's skill, it's determination, it's a winning pedigree. So yeah, it was tough to just come to grips with, like, he's got to be part of the package. But when you realize it and you look at who you're getting, you have to do it. And this just puts our organization in a different trajectory and at a different time than we were at before. And we got a special player for ourselves in Quinn, and it just worked out for both teams. That's a good deal.
Yeah, and your team has hit the ground running with Quinn Hughes as of recording right now. You're undefeated with Quinn in the lineup. I want to go back to the Four Nations face-off a little bit. Quinn was dealing with injury at the time, really wanted to play. I know there was discussions about him going out there potentially. Did that teach you a lot about maybe the person Quinn Hughes and how competitive he is and how just more of his mentality at that exchange of him wanting to play in that tournament?
Absolutely. And I think, through that, we developed a bit of a relationship and got to know each other a little bit more. And, I really didn't know Quinn until then. And I can tell you this, he wanted to play so bad. He wanted to represent his country. He wanted to be with the guys. I could I could hear the passion. I could hear the emotion that was in the calls, but and that meant a lot. Like I think the world of him, and you know, like I said, it kind of forged a bit of a relationship, and I think that's definitely one of the reasons I wanted to go after him is because I knew him in that way.
Well, I'm not going to lie. Like you look at, the Colorado Avalanche, you look at the Dallas Stars and your team. It's a bit of a murderer's row when it comes to Central Division teams. You've got, elite players on the top line with an elite defenseman. How do you feel you stack up after this move?
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's a tough division, but the whole league's tough. There are no easy nights. Regardless of who you're playing, and that's the great thing about our league. Central Division just happens to have some really strong teams. I think we can play with anybody. I think in this league, anybody can beat anybody on any given night. If you're not at your best, there's a good chance you're going to be beat. If you're not competing as hard as you can compete and doing the right things, there's a chance you can be beat. But if you are doing those things, there's a chance you're going to win every night too.
So, okay, we kind of talked about when did you feel like you had a realistic chance of landing Quinn? Or that deal signed, it's sent to the central registry, you're getting the final signatures on that deal. What was the reaction after the deal was done?
Yeah, I was pretty excited. I'll be honest with you. I didn't. I guess to answer your real question, I don't think we. I realized how realistic this was until, oh man, maybe an hour or two before Jim called me to kind of finalize the deal, and I remember sitting there telling my wife, I'm like, I think we can, I think we might get this across the line, and then Jimmy called, and it was, yeah, I mean, yeah, we were really excited. Everybody, all the hockey ops guys and the coaches were thrilled.
Well, there's a entire league watching you guys were good to begin with. Now you add a talent that is elite like Quinn Hughes. You're going to be, I think the watchability rankings for the Minnesota Wild went even further up, which is shocking because a very good team to start, as I mentioned. Well, Bill, while we have you, I want to hit you up on a couple of questions. Of course, you're prepping the roster for the Olympics as well. I think the entire hockey world is ready to go for that.
I think
They're totally
so.
amped for best on best. The Four Nations face-off was a great appetizer, if you want to call it. It really showed us what international hockey can be. When you're readying a team for this, when you're prepping your list, you're getting everything sorted. Um, you know, how is this process compared to the Four Nations? Is it any different in terms of what you're doing this time around?
No, it's not really that different. I guess the only difference is we kind of got I like to say we got to look under the hood a bit, and like with the Four Nations and find out how the guys operate, find out what they're like, and is not just as players but as teammates, as interacting and all that stuff. It was great. So we know a lot more about the guys who participated in the tournament, but the process is really the same. We're trying to build the best team we can, not just the best collection of players. We're trying to build a team with roles and responsibilities and buy-in and all that stuff. So it's pretty much the same process that we've used.
Often, we hear the conversation about size and physicality versus skill, and when you're trying to find the right balance in a team like this, is that something that you're going through right now, or do you say, hey, it's this is a skill-driven tournament, and we're going to go skill more than maybe the other aspect of this game.
No, I think if you kind of paint yourself into one corner, you're gonna be disappointed. I think with deeper player pools, you have to have the try to create something where you can play any type of hockey. It can be tight checking, it can be up and down, it can be offensive, it can be like I said, tight checking. Whatever it is, we're gonna have to be able to adapt and play that way. But for us, like I said, I think we're going to be able to kind of check a lot of the boxes that we're looking for.
Team USA, I think in a lot of ways, for especially people here up north in Canada, we were, I wouldn't say pleasantly surprised. We were surprised because it's Canada versus USA, but it was a very strong team. You guys, dictated play for a lot of that game as well. What did that experience teach you about your current crop of players? Because I felt like for people that haven't seen best on best in a while, like we were expecting Team USA to be good, but I think a lot of Canadians were taken back and say, "Oh, they're good and they're good now."
Yeah, that's good to hear. I mean, honestly, you want the respect of your opponent, and you definitely have to earn it. And I think over the years we have, and it's just been a long time since we've done best on best, with the NHL players, and that's why this is the build up to this is so great because I mean the Four Nations was incredible, and I think the Olympics is going to be even better. But you know what, we just want to go there and put our best foot forward and try to win.
All right, before I let you go, I have to ask one more question. I'm based in Vancouver. You can see the nameplate behind me there. There's been a lot of discussion, and Thatcher Demko himself has said, "Hey, I don't know. I haven't been fully fit this year. You're going to have to ask Billy Guerin about my availability for the Olympics and if I'm being considered." My question is to you, Bill, is he a player that's on your list? Is he being considered? He's been injured, but when he's played, he's been elite.
Yeah, I mean when he's played, he's been fantastic. And we're not crossing anybody off the list until we have to. So keeping our options open, and Thatcher's one hell of a goalie.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time to join us on Hockey Night in Canada Punjabi this week. And best of luck moving forward, not only with the Minnesota Wild, but also at the Olympics.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on.
And there you have it. Bill Guerin, GM of the Minnesota Wild, joined us today. Hit us up with your comments. Tell us what you thought of the interview. Like and subscribe. We'll catch you next time.